Okay, we'll just give everyone a few minutes to join and then we can get started. Probably give people like 5 minutes. Hopefully the market gives us 5 minutes though. Okay. It's been pretty back and forth, which honestly was expected. I'm just putting major levels on the chart and nothing more. So we'll add the 88 to 90 range and 99, 98 and 05, because these were the targets for overnight. And I did say I would cover off 67.99. And that was our overnight target, and they stalled right off that 6801 area in the early hours, and then kind of stalled, and then had a bit of a reversal back. So this was a huge area for covers, even though they did break it just slightly. I did mention last night that that's going to be the bigger range that we're going to look to target. Okay, I'm just going to copy paste from yesterday's open. Okay, these were the bigger target areas. I think that was pretty spot on in terms of that being the big overhead that we're going to look for, especially to start the week. So let's go back and take a quick peek. Okay, so for now, these are the conditions that we had. We wanted to see if they try bringing this back into that bull zone. Otherwise, it's going to give some risk at the 6720s, 6733. Failing those areas is what would bring us bigger risk and take us back to that 6652 area and potentially take us back to the channel. Okay, so give that a quick read if you're not subscribed to the Substack. This was pretty straightforward. This was actually an insanely great trade. So right off the rip, they immediately brought this back up. Okay, they sustained. Where is it? Let's go back here. Here it is. Okay, they opened this in the means. Not really the best place to open this. Like, we would have preferred ideally above 6.8. Okay. And so this implied risk immediately off the open, okay? Because they were above this area here, okay? This was the first area of risk. But they did come back and hold. They didn't quite hold 6744, but they did hold 6738. So this immediately implied to me that there's going to be some two-directional price action, okay, just based off this. This was that 3.5 to 3 point range that we've been talking about since last week. It's kind of carried over this week with a bit wider range this time of like 7 point offsets, and we'll talk about that in a second. I did say yesterday this is a good long off 4.4 just to see if they can at least retrace 6.6, 6.8, which they did, and then they came back, held 5.5, and then continued. And I did say overnight long areas we're looking for 6, 7, 8, 8 retest, and they did, and then stalled. So you can see these, they're very evident stalls. So like when they test these areas, I know that they're overheads, because do you guys notice how they bring it here and then they stall slightly? So like our first overnight target was this 6, 7, 7, 8 to 8.1 range. Okay, so you can see how these end up being really big ranges to basically hold, sustain. They came back, they sustained 6.6, 6, 7, 7, 8 really nicely back here, tested 8.8. This implied they're going to take it to our 9.9. Okay, 9.9, 9.8, 01 being our really big target range that we were looking for. So I would say that this was a really successful overnight long trade. Could this help us sustain the 50s today, maybe? What do you guys think? So these are from the report and also from last night. I did talk about this area being very important. Good morning. Okay, so we'll just mark those on there. Could this help us sustain today in real time, you think? And by sustain, I mean this big area of risk down here. So they then brought this back, stalled 6, 6799 failed to bring it back into um, core ranges here. First thing I started noticing is had they held 6668, okay, back in here, we probably would have had a decent auto breaking up here. So this was the first immediate failure I noticed, okay, like this area here, especially when they started stalling here. Bringing it right back down to our 6720, 6733, 6738, etc., etc. Where did we open the session today? What area did we open the session today? Six, 7, 3, 3, 3, 4. Is that a good area to open, you guys think? What do you guys think? I would say off the open it wasn't bad because you see how they left some room here off these lows? Like you see how they left a few points here back to 6720 area right here? Do you guys see that? They left a little bit of room for downside risk, but they knew the risk was very heavy, so they had to do what? Immediately off open. Because if they took out 6720 right off open, we'd probably be trading at like 6,600 at this point, okay? Because you can't take out 6720 that early, okay? Does that make sense? Because that's a huge area to sustain. So instead, they kind of took it halfway, immediately came back and took out 4-4, 3-8, 5-2, okay? They didn't quite take out 6-6 on the first attempt. They did stall it a little bit. Do you see this little stall right here? I would have preferred that they took this out right away because I think that would have implied continuation on this trade. So I could already tell that those reductions were still in play, okay? Like we still would have preferred, you know, breaks back over here, especially above 6-8. They kind of started stalling 7-4, 7-5. Do you see like these reductions where instead we wanted closer to 8-1 because this is what would have taken out this overnight lower high. Does that make sense? Breaking 7-8, 8-1 is what would have given us those bigger structure breaks. So I can already tell that it was a decent move to avoid wider volatility, but it wasn't the best move in terms of fully breaking down structure. So that kept it what? What did this imply? These stalls right here, especially considering this 6-7-3-3 open, which wasn't the greatest open, and the fact that they left range for downside. They hadn't tested 6720 yet. So I knew, okay, think about it. There was about 6 points, 6.5 point differential here. Okay. Similar idea up here because we hadn't broken that 8-1 area, okay? And we really want to take out 8-1. Does that mean that they could come back and retest 6720 this morning off these stalls of 7-8, 8-1, 7-9, so on and so forth? Yes. Okay, so that was your second downside trade this morning. Did we hold 6720 on the first attempt? You guys have to hurry with questions. Hey, I'm in trades. If you guys are not going to respond, then I'm not going to cover this. I'm just going to focus on my own trades. Especially like off areas right here. Because we don't have to cover this. Especially not in real time. Well, it's pretty obvious that 6720 did not hold. Okay, so 6720, 6722 breached on the first attempt back here, correct? And it was roughly the same sort of range. Okay, the area is closer to like 6720.5 or 6722, so kind of just depends on where you want to measure from, but it's roughly 6 to 7 points, like in between this area here. So I figured, okay, if that's the case, then in order to get some structure breaks, they definitely have to take out 6-6-6-8. They stalled 6-8, okay? back up in here. Same range as like the 6-4. So I knew that, okay, they're probably going to come back test once again, which they did after making this lower high right here. Okay, in this range in here, back in the means. They tried their best to hold. They tried their best to hold 6-7-20 the second time around. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this. Do you guys see this right here? Like these holds in here off 67.20. But what were they not successful in doing? Okay, what were they not successful in doing right here? This is the part that I said would widen the short because retracements become super important here. We couldn't take out 6-7-4-4. Okay, that was very, 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 very important that they at least tried taking out 4-4. 3-8 wouldn't have been enough because they already breached. Like, had we not breached, how do I explain this? Had we not breached 2-2 or 20 right here, do you see how we could have afforded to not test 4-4 right here? Okay, you could afford that risk because it offsets it. Okay, had they held here, let's assume that they didn't breach right here. Let's assume the first time around they held above. Okay, can you afford to not break above if you breach below? No. Okay, so risk was increased and it was pretty obvious. So this is where the wider range short happened. Which area do you have to fail here to get a confirmed and confined short? And look at the volume that came in here off the 67.20 failure this time around. Which area did you fail that confirmed the short continuation? At least a 6688 off the report. Right here, right? Once they failed 67.20 this third time, there's no way that this was going to sustain. Correct? And right before 2 o'clock. That's important because your 2 o'clock candles run until close. Correct? That could be an issue. Okay? Did they try holding 6688? So I had some flips here at 236, and I said it in the Discord, and 238. These were really, really important times of day, okay, to see if they try sustaining the zone or if they break it down. 36 tried, 35 tried. They did close over that. Could this help us right here? Even though 38 broke down, could the 235, 36 closing sticks above 88 maybe help us? This was also a stall of the neutral zone right here, just FYI. And this was, I don't have all the levels marked, but you can see it. Like this was a stall of the neutral zone. This was a stall of 9-9 right here, okay? So they were trying to get back into that neutral zone, at least to defend this a little bit. Because had they gotten back into the neutral zone right here at 30, then your 3-5, 3-6 period, you probably would have at least, at the very least, stayed within this neutral range. Does that make sense? Maybe not get back to here, but it would chop it around a little bit, but that would have offset some of the risk. Okay, so this is what they struggled to do at that point there. Okay, was the 6705, 6799 stalls. So those were the stalls in those points there, but they did test 9-8, so that could help us a little bit too. Okay, this is what allowed for that short continuation off 3-8. It was pretty obvious. Right to 8-8, or right beneath 8-8, okay? And then we had some odds right in at 256, we said, and 3 o'clock, okay? So 256, where is 256? And 3 o'clock. So we did breach and break that 6666 right here, which was not good. And they took it back beneath into the means right before 3. But we still opened in the zone. Okay, they still sustained at 3-6. There's some odds around this point in time that are linked with the 330, 336, 338 period, okay? So could they try bringing it back to here during this period, which could offset, obviously, the continued risk that we now face until 4, because we are at risk until close today. And this is why I said I would cover some around the 8-8, 8-5 area and cover some more in here, and then you could try a long hedge off 5-8, 5-9, 6-1, whatever. Okay, do you see how clear as day This is. Do you see it? Like, these areas are so calculated, okay? And I think if you're paying attention, you can see that. So some of the things that we have going for us are, we open at 6734. Okay, that's not the best place to open, but at least it's in an area of support and not the lowest area, and it's above the zone. So that could imply that, you know, maybe they do take out the zone. Maybe not today, but maybe they could get it back there and nest in the channel. Okay. That could offset us opening in the channel. Maybe we could avoid going to the channel below. Okay. What would the channel below be? 6632, 6644, 6648, correct? When we looked at our ranges today, off opening range, okay, which is here, the channel was linked as being 88 points from today's open, close to like 4.6, okay. If we had a much bigger breakdown, this is where we'd be at risk of like 6,600. Do you see it? Like these areas here? I just want to cover them in case you guys don't see it. That 66, 07, 05, 08, okay. Off of today's highs for real time. Okay, these would also be basically 128 to 130 points right here, the 40s. Okay, do you guys see it? So there is confluence around this area, but the scary part is that could be linked to taking us back to here, okay? Off the actual, these are off real-time highs. Off overnight highs, which is linked to here. We already broke 128 points. Do you see that? So 150, 151 is half of the midpoints of 246 and 346 if we're doing mid-range still. So that also confirms some confluence around that 52, 51, 50 area, right? Otherwise, if we broke all the way back 173 points, right, which is half of 346, that's where we'd have 6628. And then obviously the bigger risk comes back if we start breaking into these 50s. We do have some odds this week. So look at this, guys. Are you guys paying attention? Pay close attention because I'm only going to cover this once. Are you guys listening? What was our previous lower or lows that we had from October 10th? Do you remember this? I'll mark these in yellow. These are October 10th. Okay, 6540s, correct? Do you see how this area and these ranges from today, today's a very, 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 very important flip date from the 17th, are correlated directly to these lows? Okay, so it's not just that if you fail these areas, you're at risk. You can come back and basically retest this area here. Something I noticed, though, is these ranges would imply what? What would these ranges imply based on what we've just looked at here? What would they imply? So 6545 versus 6540. No. And also don't forget that these were like 256 points from these ranges here. And then that was the pressure that we had to gap above on that day there. Okay. Also from our October candles. Okay. What does that imply? Come on, I know you guys are like, it's a very basic answer. What would that imply? Which one's higher, which one's lower? Hello? A higher low. Okay, that could imply a higher low. Okay? So technically speaking, even if they fully want to break this down, there is a possibility that they could maybe put in like a higher low here. Okay. I would prefer that they just avoid that entirely, right? Because the fact that they even took out 128 points right here, 132 points, right? Which is half of 256. Okay. Are you guys listening? Please, Minchin Allah, listen, okay? That's half of 256. So if you broke that, are you guys listening? Like that's a big risk, because that's what could take out this structure, which obviously on a daily time frame looks very bearish, okay? So this is what you'd have to try to retrace, and immediately. So the fact that they already took out 132 points is pretty risky, okay? So how important is it that you immediately retrace this? Because the fact that they already did this is what would put us at that huge risk. How important would that be that they immediately retrace it? This is also a really disgusting daily 3-bar bear flag, which could continue for up to 4 to 7 sessions, basically throughout the entire weeks of OPEX until markets close for Thanksgiving. Okay, what would you have to do to negate this? Something else I also noticed is from this low to this high, they did take out 256 points. Okay, so this is interesting, guys. Look, are you guys listening? Try to listen to this, okay? Look. So this high right here and this offset, or like this differential, is roughly 5.25 points, okay? You guys listening? Right here, between 256 and this low right here, okay? And this is recorded, so you guys can go back and rewatch. But the range differential from today, okay, 143 versus like 133 or 132. That's double the range in points. Okay, so this is, whoever said that there could imply some volatility, you're not necessarily wrong, okay? But sometimes volatility could work both ways. If they're able to offset. And it's the same thing with the lows here. Like this is 106 points from open to lows. Okay, usually when you break 107 points, that's when you can start expanding. So like they're just holding 107 points here. Whereas if they push this back, you see how it would take it back to like the 30s in here, which is taking us back to the channel. That's our next major area of support, by the way. So what's the first thing that we're going to have to do right now? Please don't get this wrong. What's the very, very first thing that we're going to have to do right now? At the very least, if we want to try to negate some of this risk. Don't get this wrong, you guys. I'm giving you the answer on the screen. What's the first thing that we're going to have to try doing here to try negating, or at least minimizing some of this risk? Hold off what? Don't give me a basic answer like that. I'm not giving you basic TA or basic analysis, so don't give me a basic answer. because no one's listening. Well, you want to at least try to retract 120 to 132 points off the October 10th open or low, close, right? And off today's highs. So basically that offset. So that would take you back to what areas here? At a minimum, 6669.75, 6672. Ideally, you need to get back over 88.3, which so far you can see that that's where they're stalling. No. Doesn't forget Friday's close. These would be the ranges. That's why they're trying their best to hold this area here, okay? At what point in time do you think they'd have to retrace this by? So let's now pay attention to time. So we know price. Okay, so time is very, very important always. Remember how we said that they had some odds at 3.5, 3.6 between the 3.30 and 3.36 period? Hello? Look at that. 3.35, 3.36 attempted to retrace that 256 point offset of 128 to 132 points at 66.80, 66.79 and then stalled. It looked like they tested it a little bit and then came back beneath. We'd probably want to try retracting over this area before the final 15. Otherwise, that risk is going to stay pretty strong into the close. Okay, so let's just see if they're able to retract range here. Because we're at risk until 4. Okay, would you really want to close down in this area here into the close? Right? Or even potentially break into the channel if we already know now we have an odd of breaking 256 points because we already broke 128, 132, which is half of 256. No. Okay, so ideally to try mitigating some of this risk, we have to get back over here. Okay, everyone's on the same page. These are not easy trades, by the way, to try to like navigate, but they're extremely calculated. And today is a very calculated date. The 17th determines what? This is our biggest flip for this month. What does this date determine? And we've known this now for a month and a half, that November 17th is a very, very, very important day. What does the 17th determine? Yeah, so direction, right? It's a directional flip. So it's a pretty big volatility flip. And even the structure suffices that, right? Because these structures here on like the 4-day, this isn't valid because it didn't take out this low, correct? What would be the earliest point in time to take out this low? Today. Do you see it? From that 6655. Today would be the earliest point in time to try taking out that low. That would make sense that this would be a directional flip because this is a really disgusting 4-bar or 3-bar continuation. That's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, at the very least until month end, okay? On the daily chart, it also formed another bear flag. First day, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. At the very least until the 20th through 21st. Do you see what I'm saying? And that could extend you directionally down until month end. Does everyone see that? So is today a very crucial day to try sustaining the 6655 area? Because it's not so much about making the low, okay? It's more about if you don't, right, then you have higher odds of continuation. And more so like the date and time that you make it or break it, right? So breaking down on the 17th validates things. Does that make sense? If we took out this low tomorrow, I wouldn't care. as much. I don't know if that makes sense. It wouldn't be as big of a deal if they took out this range tomorrow versus taking it out today. Taking it out today is not good. Hopefully that helps explain like the dynamics of this type of trade, which is a very hard thing to do, but I'm trying. Does that help you guys at least understand like how this could pan out over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? And why the 17th is very important. And now structure is showing you why it's so important. Well, it's not just that. It's time and price, right? So it's price, range, time, structure, right? You have to have all three. You can't just have one. The structure shows us that. The dates show us that. The calculations show us that. Does that make sense? You can't have a valid formation unless the lows are actually taken out. The lows happen to be those exact ranges. So I want to see if we can try getting back over 66.80 before the final 15. So that would be basically now, like at 345, to see if they can try offsetting some of this risk and ideally get us back into the zone, into the close. I feel like staying down here is just too risky. So I want to see if they can try getting us back at least here. 66.80 being retested right on time at 345. If anyone tried those long hedges with me off this structural hold down here. Are you guys seeing that? And this was only validated because they did attempt at 36 and 30. Had they not, I would say that there was no chance that they were going to bring this back at 4.5. But we did have that reduction stick, okay? Off 3.7. What do you need to have happen this time around, though? Thanks, new chat people, by the way, for participating. It's funny that people that have been here for the first time talk and the people that watch every single day don't. Crazy. Yeah, you'd need continuation. I'd say at least to like this 8.3 area. These also might not be exact ranges. I just kind of added them on there when I had those ranges. This could be like 80.25, 81. I didn't mark it exactly. Ryan and Snack, I'm definitely not talking about you guys. Usually if there's like 50 to 80 people watching on average and like 2-3 people answering, it's insane. Do you see the difference in PA this time between this period here and this period here? Do you guys see it? Look. Do you see the difference here? Can the market afford to stall at this point in the day? That's the A3 break here. Immediate break of 66.83.50. This should help us try getting back into the zone here ahead of the close. I want to see us get back over 66.88. And you want to use kind of the same sort of theory and time. So we want to see like a 3-minute consecutive break right here, basically. So the earliest point to get back in the zone would be 4.7. I'm thinking probably closer to 4.8, 4.9. And they also formed a 3-bar flag here too. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th bar. Okay, so that's what could also get us that same thing, like that 2-minute extension through 350. Does that make sense? Hopefully this is helping you guys. I just know that the risk down here is way too high. It wouldn't make sense for them to at least not try getting back over 128 to 132 point range. Like I feel like that risk would be insanely high, especially for today's date. So hopefully they can at least hold these areas into the close. How many points is this now off the lows? 29 points. So I would think that the zone area probably aligns with our 32 to 34 point ratios. Yeah, it does. So Getting back over 9,150, 9,250 is ideal based on low metrics, not based on like the 256 or 128 points like these areas are. So we want to try getting back into this area here probably. This is the fourth bar too, so I'm not surprised that they're stalling a bit. What do you guys think? You think they take it back into the zone before 350? I didn't get a chance to put up a poll. Just say yes or no in the chat, I guess. The zone is this area here, okay? 32 to 34 points is here, this area here. So breaking this range here also breaks 32 to 34 points off lows in this range in here. If they stall at this area here, this is what could start implying volatility. We're going to watch the 30-second turnaround just to see. Because usually when markets want to break, it's off a 30-second interval. Hold on. Why is that not letting me change that? My trading view is acting funny. What? Why is it acting funny? I didn't think that they would do it, but probably right on that very first 350 stick. 350 immediately breaking 6688 in the first second. Are you guys seeing this? Zone entry back at 350. I would have preferred before 350 so that this could be some volatility here. Just be careful. Okay. See if we can get structure breaks over this 91.50 to 92.50. These are 33 to 34 point breaks off lows. Where's the 30-second break here? Here. Isn't that insane that they brought it here into the close? Like right at 350. There it is. Final 5-second break here back over 9150. That's a 34 point break, I believe, or 33.75 break. I think with that 1 minute setup that we had too, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This was the 7th bar. So usually if you get 7 bars, you can get how many? 8, 9, 10. We're going to see 353 if we exhaust or expand at this period. This will be the deciding candle here. And obviously we always have our 54, 55 candles. And this is what could neutralize us back into the neutral zone, which we did say was that 6705 and 6699 stall earlier. Okay. What's the max area that they could bring us to into the close here if they really want to offset risk? I'm not sure if they're going to do it because I feel like they would have had to push a bit higher there ahead of 350, but I guess we can keep this probability open since they at least brought it to the zone. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? So this is enough, right? Like anything above here is enough to like at least limit the risk a little bit. $53, like we said, is a deciding stick. Yeah. Well, they stalled at 9,250. This is the 34 point break here. Do you see that? Like if 350 was 34 points, this would have been stronger. So we're not going to get any constructive breaks until they close over 9,250. But you guys are looking too low. What would be an area that would really, really, really offset risk? I don't think that they're going to do it because of what they did here and here, but had they pushed this a little bit more before 350 off 4.8, 4.7, they basically wasted these two sticks. Then you would have had a higher odd of getting like Yeah, and you could see it because these are like 10 points in range. They would have already taken this back to retest this area here. Do you see that? Like this 03, 05, look. This is already 12, 13 points. Do you see that? You would have already had a retest of 05 as early as 5.3. Yes. Do you see the offsets here? Like if they would have cleared earlier right here, they had odds even based on the range that they're giving off 5, 1, 2, 3, right? That they could have pushed this 12 points. 12.5 point break would have taken you back to retest this lower high here. Okay, at 67.0550, which would have left you 6 minutes to try pushing the close. Okay, so what would you have to do off the 5-4 stick here? 5-4, 5-5 are always our final offsets. What would you have to do during this period here to even have an odd of getting a 66.99, 67.05 retest? Markets also don't really owe us anything in this range here. Like ideally we just want to close above this 80.83. Yes. Also, if you think about it too, what would that have been? Like a 12-point break? Maybe closer to like 67.15. So 692.5 plus, or 6705 plus 12.5 points. Yeah, probably close to like 18, 17. That would have been the 12, 13 points above 6705, I think. Which is probably where that lower high was. Like if they broke this 12.5 points. Do you see that? That's probably where those lows were in this area here. Do you see it? So see if this 54 can offset 5455, trying so hard to break 34 points. 669250 close would give this an odd to continue until 4. We're looking for 66.99, 66.98 retest. They need to close over 92.50, I think. At the very least, 91.50. Did they do it? Final second? Do you guys see that? They did it the final second. Look at the final second turnaround. That's insane. 34-point close at the final second off 5.5. We'll see if we can get a continuation stick here. Your 5.7 stick matters a lot because usually you want to break range ahead of 5.9, 5.8. And this is just a way to not necessarily like lower expectations, but at least have an idea of where market makers want to take the close, okay? We don't have to get the exact area, but if you can, it can help you. So usually when you get 34-point structure breaks, you can push how many points? And this makes total sense because this is exactly the range that they reduced us by. And that's why I said 5.7 matters a lot, because if they don't clear at 5.7, then they're just going to keep this stuck, because these are pinnable areas into the close around 80, 8.3, 8.8, 90, 9.1. They don't technically have to take this any higher. And your 5.7, I think, would determine that. Does that make sense? How many points, guys, can you get usually if you break a 34-point ratio? Which is where they're currently stalling. We'll see if they do the 30-second turnaround here. It's trying. It's doing the same thing they did at 5.5. It's trying to reset this basically to get back over this 9.150, 9.2 area. Where do you guys think they're going to pin the close? I don't think that's high enough. I think that needed at least back over like 90.5. We'll see what they do with the final minute sticks. Okay, from a zone theory, is this really the best area to close the market? Using like my base zone theory? No, because it is still a bear zone, right? But based on range theory, okay, can this help mitigate some of the bear risks that we currently face? Yes, okay. I forgot to pin this before Dougie comes and yells at me. I don't know why the trading view is acting up like this. 5.8 retracing back over 9.250. 5.9 opening at 9.3. Volatility in the first 30 seconds of this opening stick. We'll see if they can turn it around off the midpoint interval here. These are extremely pinnable areas for ES into the close, especially on today's day. So hopefully they can at the very least hold the zone. Zone is 6688 for those that are new here. If they can get it over 9.250 though, that's even better because that could give us odds to bump into the close. Do you see how calculated that is? 93.75 close here. They could try pushing off 4. This could be an after hours move here, guys, back up to 67.05, 67.12, 67.18. I would say this area is probably max for after the bell. They really are trying to save that range and kept it zone bound into the close with a 33 to 34 point break and closed above right off the 59 stick. 66.98 being retested here right at 4 o'clock. We had higher odds at 4, which is why I had 4 o'clock marked for that 6699 retest. If you're trading, I guess, index or SPY. No, you don't immediately jump to 68 points, Rod. You usually can get like 44-ish points. Okay? You don't just jump to 68 points, but technically, yes, like that could be like the range break that you could get, but we'll see if we get follow through sticks here. Because they're stalling 9.8 here so far off 4. This was a really calculated close though. And like I said, it's not the best area, but if they can maybe try pushing this here, hopefully right off that next candlestick, then we have a chance that they could actually push this, okay? So, but in order for them to do that, they obviously can't stall 9899, okay? They really would have to try clearing this range. Usually within the first 5 minutes after that close too, so we can look for 0405. Did this help you guys manage positions or understand sentiment into the close today? This is a very important close for the 17th, which is the only reason why I decided to stream, because I didn't really feel like streaming today, but these are really big spots for the market to try holding. So this is recorded. I finally fixed the settings for YouTube, so everything is saved on YouTube if you're not subscribed on Twitch, because I think Twitch only stores up to a week, but try to go back and restudy this on your own time. If you're holding contracts, you could definitely still hold them till maybe like if you're holding ES or SPY, maybe just to see where they close this. But I feel like if they can bring it back over 9.9, that's going to be the safest bet because it takes us back into a neutral zone, which can help us a lot in terms of like trying to offset some of this really bad risk that we have now heading into um, heading into mid-quarter. Sorry, I went brain dead for a second. I lost my train of thought. Neutral zone, by the way, is above here, so above 9.9 in this area here. It would be beneath the 1822, but like above 9.9. Okay, can I reset my template here? I think I deleted some of my stuff by accident this weekend because my template's not even saved. Like not, I feel like I just, oh, it's because I put this thing on here. I put this is why it was confusing me. Because remember I added these for you guys? Because remember how I said we need to get back in the green? I mean, this was a really good way of seeing the short, I guess, because we didn't get back in the green and they stalled. But, holy, this is messy. Okay. This is a little too high. So earlier they basically stalled neutral ranges. So we want to basically get back in this yellow area. I think that would help us a little bit in terms of offsetting some of this pretty obvious volatility risk that we have. Yeah, that's really insane. I didn't even look at that. I did tomorrow's calls instead, guys. I didn't do today, like off these lows. And I will hold them overnight. I did cover half off the 8-8 break, but I feel like there's a chance that they could try to mitigate some of this risk tomorrow, especially because of those daily structures. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. This is the 5-minute turnaround here, like we were talking about. How many people are completely new here? Or here for the first time? I feel like this is a good session to study. Thank you, Josh. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for all your input, by the way. Yes, like you can be aligned with that, Rod, but like you still have to remember that there's always range in between. So okay, if you don't, you usually get 44 points first, but yeah, you're not wrong. Like that 34 point close right here, okay, this could obviously imply a 66 to 68 point break, which would take you right back to your 67.20s. So you're not wrong, okay? Like that 66, 68 points takes you back to 67.20. So that's a good way of looking at it, but there's going to be some midpoints in between. Like I don't think they immediately take it right back there. Like there's probably going to be some ranges that would have to break first. So, and that being this area here, especially off this close. So like where's that close? They're stalling about 5-point intervals here. 17 points is probably the 10. 12 is probably the 05. Yeah, it is. 22 is 17, 18. 33, 34 is probably the 20s. So that would make sense because then off lows, that would be a 66 to 60. Yeah, it is. Do you see it? This is off the 59 close. And then off lows. Obviously, that's going to be the better area to try because core to core would get you odds of retesting your 67.70s and 80s, which is what we stalled this morning. Well, welcome back. I don't know why it wasn't letting me edit these or move them or anything earlier. They're still kind of stalling here. I just want to see if they can try clearing here before the 15-minute close here. What do you guys think? You think they take it back to neutral zone after the bell here, or you think that they keep it stuck in this bear zone? Thank you, Jay. Thank you for doing that. Someone in my chat mentioned you the other day. I think they also follow you. I gave you a follow back on here the other day. And those that follow me, obviously go follow him too. We had a really calculated close today too on the index. Just want to see if they can get this back over 6699. Before this session closes here. Jay, are you on Twitter at all? Or what platforms do you normally use? There's that 9-9 break right at 410. That's perfect timing, guys, for ES breaking back over this range. This is going to help us if they can get this back over 66.99. And even if they just range it between 66.99 and 6708.04, this can really help offset some of this risk. So perfect in terms of time and price on that. We'll see if they can mitigate some of this risk overnight. By mitigating risk overnight, I do think that they need to get, at least we got our 33 to 34 point close here. Okay, right at the 359, but getting anywhere back over, I would say 44 point ratios like 02 can help. And this is what would set us up for maybe getting those 67.20s retested in the overnight session today. Oh, he is? What's his user handle on there? Okay. What's his trading style like? What does he normally trade? Okay, well, I gave him a follow in there. Thanks, Jay. Long-term investor, imagine him watching me watch the second chart. He's gonna be like, what the hell is this girl doing? What on earth is she doing? But those seconds matter sometimes. You know, like this 355 candlestick coming back the final second over this was insane. What do his followers like trading? Well, I'm asking them. So I just wanted to see if they basically were to bring it back to this range in here into the final 5 minutes here ahead of 4:15. If so, then I think that they've got some odds of keeping it in this little neutral zone, basically to try to avoid this red box range here ahead of session close. I think that'll help offset some of the risk that we have. Go back and rewatch this session if you need to in terms of understanding why holding here was really important, why getting back over 66.80, 66.88, 92 was crucial into the close, especially in terms of mitigating some of this risk. So we're looking to see if they can test that 6702. I think this is the 44-point break here coming up. We just want to see if they can tag 43, 44 points into the close, especially off this 415 stick. They can really try mitigating some of the risk that they have into the overnight session. I am going to sign off, guys, though. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Jay, for the raid. I gave you a follow on Twitter. My handle on Twitter, though, I think is different than here. And I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions before I sign off? Are you guys good on your end? Okay, if you guys are good, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow.